This video is a sample from the Secret Guitar Teacher Interactive course, The 5 Main Elements of Music. The 5 main elements of music. Element number 1, musical notes. Part 2, the naming of musical notes. There are a bewildering number of names and symbols used to describe musical notes. But don't worry, on this course we're going to straighten out and remove all this confusion. First, we will divide all these names into two groups. Those names that apply to pitch and those that apply to duration. As guitarists, we're mostly concerned with pitch-related names. And to understand these, we need to go back in time and look at the development of a different set of instruments, those with keyboards. The early developers of keyboard instruments had to solve the problem of how to locate specific notes on the keyboard. Supposing all the keys were identical, how can a player possibly tell one note from another? Well, the first step in this direction was to colour some of the notes black, a bit like this. But this very quickly developed a stage further, when someone had the bright idea to make the black notes higher and narrower than the white notes. Now players could not only see, but could also feel the difference between the notes without having to look at the keys. Great for sight-reading musical notation. A further benefit of this innovation was that players could span further. This must have made an amazing difference to the instrument's playability. But what interests us as guitar players is the pattern of black notes. Have you ever wondered why the black keys are grouped in 2s and 3s like this? Well, it is this pattern that enables the keyboard player uniquely to identify each note on the keyboard. Let's take a closer look at just how that works. For example, all the C notes can be found just to the left of the group of 2 black notes. All the D notes can be found between the 2 black notes. All the E notes can be found just above the group of 2 black notes. All the F notes can be found just to the left of the group of 3 black notes. All the G notes can be found as the first white note amongst the group of 3 black notes. All the A notes can be found as the second white note in amongst the group of 3 black notes. And all the B notes can be found just above the group of 3 black notes. So this is the primary orientation system for the white notes on the keyboard. Now let's see how the black notes get their names. All the black notes are named relative to the white notes next to them. For example, the black note just above C can be called C sharp. The black notes just above D can be called D sharp. The note above F, F sharp, and so on. But as we shall see later in a later section of this course, as well as naming the black notes relative to the white notes just below them, We also need sometimes to name them relative to the white notes just above them. In this case, we use the flat symbol, which is often replaced with a lowercase b in a computer-generated text. So the keyboard player generally learns their notes in this way. The white notes are named after the first 7 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F and G. And each black note has 2 possible names, a sharp name or a flat name. Understanding how this note naming system works for keyboard players is the key to learning the chromatic scale, which is the scale of all the notes. And knowing the chromatic scale is the foundation of learning all the notes on the guitar fretboard. But we'll get to that in the next main section of the course. Simplification warning. In a complex subject like music, every educator needs to make decisions about what degree of simplification to bring to their teaching presentation. In the above description, we promise you that we have covered all the note names that are going to be of use to you as a guitar player on a day-to-day basis. But there are a few other note names in use that have the potential to be quite confusing when you stumble across them. We're going to mention them here in passing, but without any in-depth explanation, because this requires background knowledge that will be developed later in the course. Enharmonic equivalence. An enharmonic equivalent is a note that is named differently but sounds the same. Below, we've included all the note names that you're likely to encounter and shown their enharmonic equivalents. The solfege system. In various parts of the world, a system of vocalizing notes of different pitch is used. This is variously known as the solfege or sol-fa system. In its simplest form, the notes of the C major scale are replaced by the syllables do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. However, in some areas, a movable do is used, meaning that the syllable do is assigned to the first note of whatever key the passage of music is in. Perhaps the most well-known example of the use of the solfege system is from the musical The Sound of Music. Simplification warning. Here we've just mentioned the solfege system in passing. If you're working with musicians from continental Europe, you may need a more precise and detailed understanding of this system. A good starting place is Wikipedia. So, I think we've covered all the names you're likely to encounter that apply to the pitch of notes. Now, let's look at names used to describe the duration of a note. Names of notes that refer to duration. Here is a chart showing the most commonly used symbols for notes used in standard notation, together with their names. Both traditional or British names and modern USA names are shown. Dotted notes and rests. A dot after a note or rest extends its duration by 50%. For example, a crotchet or quarter note with a dot after it has the same duration as that of a crotchet with a quaver added to it, so it's worth effectively 1.5 beats. Note duration and tempo. It may not have escaped your notice that the chart on the previous page tells you nothing about the actual duration of the note in absolute terms. Information about note duration as represented in standard notation, has only relative value unless some indication of the tempo of a passage of music is given. Traditionally, tempo indications were given using descriptions in Italian, so words like allegro, andante and largo, though in modern times plain English instructions are also in very common use. And it has also become increasingly more common to provide a metronome setting, stating a precise number of beats per minute for a given note value. Tempo indication chart. A metronome marking often uses a crotchet or quarter note as the basis for a metronome setting at the start of a section of music. This may look something like this. 1 crotchet equals 60, meaning there are 60 crotchet or quarter note beats per minute, which is another way of saying 1 crotchet per second. The chart on the right shows ranges of tempo markings in crotchet beat BPM and their corresponding Italian counterparts. Metronomes. A metronome is a device used to mark time by giving both audible clicks or bleeps and some sort of visible indication. And shown are traditional clockwork model of a metronome, modern clockwork model of a metronome, and a modern electronic metronome, and the ubiquitous mobile phone metronome app. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd really like to maximize your potential as a guitar player, click on the link in the description below to the Secret Guitar Teacher site. Here you can sign up for a 30-day trial free of charge and without obligation. We won't even ask you for your credit card number.